I'm going to pause because I can't hear anything out of my headphones. Okay, I think we're good now. All right, so thank you for joining us today for Maximizing LinkedIn for Business Success. My name is Jennifer Baker. So a few little housekeeping things before we get started. So the session will be approximately 50 minutes in length. You are encouraged to ask questions, so the chat is open. So as you go through, feel free to key in your questions, ask them as we go, but try to keep them on topic. So if you've got a pressing question about Facebook, maybe hold that until like the end. So do try to keep it to LinkedIn today. I do have the chat open so I can see that as we go through. The presentation is designed as a PowerPoint, but then I also will bring over LinkedIn and show it to you live as well. So if there's any sort of demonstration that you'd like to see a little bit further, feel free again to kind of pop into the chat and say, hey, Jennifer, I missed that. Can you show that again? So, all right. So without further ado, welcome and let's get started. Lots of good faces here. This makes me so happy. So my name is Jennifer Baker. I run a digital marketing agency in Kingston, Ontario. I've been doing this for about 12 years and I have a team of 3 who are wonderful. We've got Vish on here. You can give a little wave if you want, Vish. She's one of my team members who's full-time. If you do want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can scan this QR code that's up on the screen. So I think that one goes over to our LinkedIn company page. And if you're not sure where that is, then you are in the right spot. So what we're going to be learning about today is kind of digging in a little bit deeper to what LinkedIn is. And I feel like it's gotten a lot of recognition in the last, 2 to 3 years where it's growing out of the, well, it's just for job seekers kind of persona. It's a little bit more than that. It's actually a lot more than that. So number one, we're going to be talking about the LinkedIn company page. That's one piece. We're going to talk about a few new updates that you may not have noticed on your own LinkedIn personal profile. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn advertising. So there is a lot of opportunity there. And that's just something I've been asked more and more by people. So I'm going to give you kind of the what's happening there and maybe it's right for your business. So like I said, we're doing company page, content, and ads manager. That's kind of the lay of the land for today. And this, I like to do flowcharts. So if you've come to my Facebook webinars before, you know that I like to do flowcharts when it comes to social media and how to get into the different access points. So I believe you can do a little hands up. You can put it in the chat. Yes, you have a LinkedIn professional profile. Yes, we do. We have profiles. Yes. Vish didn't raise her hand, but that's okay. Yeah, you do. Okay, so everyone's got professional profiles. So that's your main access point. So I've got a little graphic there so you can see there. Once you've got that set up, that's what's going to lead into developing a LinkedIn company page. That's going to provide access to your groups. And then that's also going to provide access into the LinkedIn Ads Manager. And the reason I say this is I've seen a few organizations and businesses pop up and it's, ABC organization wants to connect with you on LinkedIn and it's not the best thing to do. So what you want to do is have your professional profile and from your professional profile and through that, you're going to create your company page. So it can be a for-profit, nonprofit, but an organization from there. And then from that LinkedIn company page is where you get that access to your LinkedIn Ads Manager. So show of hand, how many people have a company page? I like how I do show of hands, like in a Zoom webinar. I'm an old school teacher. So some of you do. Okay. Okay, great. So let's talk about your professional profile. Let's talk about your professional profile. So there's a few things, and I want to say these changes maybe in the last 6 months or so. So if you think, oh, geez, like I'm really behind the times and, I've missed it, that's okay. These are new. These are new things that are happening. So number one is the verification. So this is for professional profile. So you as a human being, not as your organization that you represent. So I've indicated mine. It's this little shield image icon that appears at the end of your name. And that simply indicates that you have confirmed information about your account. There's no cost to it. So unlike what we've seen on Meta, so if you've seen maybe the ads or gotten an email from Facebook or Instagram and it costs $18, $20 a month, there's no cost to this verification. LinkedIn is simply trying to keep its members safe and secure. So this can only be done on a mobile device. So when you are doing this verification, you might see the prompt, but it can only be completed on a mobile device, okay? And like I said, there is no cost. It will ask you for a picture though, so don't get scared. It's gonna ask you for your piece of identification. So it might be a driver's license or a passport, whatever you have handy. And then it's gonna ask for your picture. So don't get scared away from that, but that's just part of the process, okay? So go ahead and do that. It's going to give your account a little bit more credibility. The custom profile button is also something that's somewhat relatively new to your profile, but it allows an external link on your profile. So previously we had spaces for 3 different URLs, but they were buried a little bit. This one sits on your profile in blue, as you can see with the red box around it. You can give it any name that you want. So it could be, you know, enroll at Leahurst College. It can be shop online at Salvage Garden. It can be book your audio transformation with John, I don't know your new business name, but book your audio transformation with our business. So it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be a very strong sound-wise. Thank you. So it can be a very strong call to action that you have, and it can go anywhere, I'll say on the internet, but preferably to your website where they can take that action for you. So that's a little item there. And I'll show you one more thing, and then I'll show you where all of this happens. Nope, this is available just for regular folks, so no premium required at this point. The other part is called, and LinkedIn calls it like a service marketplace. And a lot of people get a little bit confused about this. So I feel like this popped up maybe a year or 2 ago, and people can basically put on their services, what they're available for. They appear on your profile. So I'll call them my keywords, what I can do. So social media marketing, digital marketing. Over the last 2 years, I wouldn't say people have necessarily used that, but now these keywords are attached to my profile. So let's talk about where these little bits are. All right, so here's our profile. First thing is the verification. So now under this verification, we can see when I joined how often I update contact information. My profile picture has been updated. And then the verification company, as you will, is called Clear, C-L-E-A-R. So that's what that is. So about 6 months ago when this came out. So that is through the verification, and that is available on your mobile device. It probably has prompted you a couple times if you do have LinkedIn on your device to verify. So that's your first little piece there. Your next little one is this improve your digital marketing. This one's going over to my services, okay? So to make any changes there, we're gonna click on the edit button, and we're gonna go all the way down onto where it says custom button. So this is where you can say, book an appointment, get in touch, you know, enroll today. I'm trying to hit on all the people that I know in the session today. So whatever that call to action is, and then send them where you want them to go. And we'll close out that. And then the last little part, for me, it appears down kind of midway on my profile here under services. So you can see these keywords here. If it's not available for you yet, you can say add a profile section up at the top. So there's your add services. So this is where you could say job counseling, career services, so on. So add services. And we are going to go here and edit. So this is where you can provide a little bit more details. So this is where it's really breaking away from it's a resume online to you're somebody building a business. So social media, email marketing, you can have up to 6 keywords in here. And after that, you're cut off. And then you can provide some additional details here where you're provide services and so on. So those are kind of the bigger changes that I've seen with the profile for today. Okay, so before I move on from the profile, does anyone have any questions about a LinkedIn personal profile? Maybe. No? Okay. Because now we're getting to my favorite place. Is the company page. Okay, Sarah did have a question. It's suggested to have a premium account. You don't necessarily have to have one. I've done all of this growth with a free account. I do find if you are in business development, sales, recruitment for larger groups, that tends to have some value attached to it. The premium accounts, last time I checked, started around $50 per month. So that's $600 a year. If you're in that world of business development and recruitment, it probably makes sense. All right, so your LinkedIn company page. So how many people do have a company page? Kind of, sort of. Lisa, Flame. Sort of, okay, sort of, okay. Where I think we've got a lot of sort ofs in here. So you sort of have an account. Do you follow any company pages? Which ones do you follow? Any good ones out there that we're missing that we need to all follow? Yours. Okay, thanks. Okay, so John's looking for points here. I don't assign grades, so we're okay. Okay, so maybe after this, you'll find some, we'll talk about some company pages to follow. So a company page is similar to what you would find on Facebook. So you've got your personal profile on Facebook, and then you have your business page. It's kind of the same process, completely different audiences. So it's a place where people of LinkedIn can come and receive updates about your business, things related to business, updates to certificates, hiring, and so on. The reach on LinkedIn is much greater than what you would find on Facebook. I find that there's less clutter, and it does tend to be more professional oriented. Some days, maybe not so much, but it is generally more professional oriented. So this is kind of the very quick look at the JBC company page. And what I'm going to do is just bring over my accounts, and then you can see it if you've never seen a company page before. So this is what the company page looks like. So you can have a header and a profile picture, name. So you're getting probably Facebook vibes here, the profile picture, cover photo, an about section. And then you've got different page posts here where you can see the different interactions. And then you can scroll through and see what you need to see. There's different tabs. So about, so that's going to provide any contact information related to the company. You can see locations, where we're located, all of our posts, any available jobs, which there are none today. And then you can see people associated with my account. So these are my team members. Look at them. Aren't they lovely? And they're so smart. So in larger organizations, you can see all the employees. So this is where that business development or the HR recruitment, if you're really trying to find people, this is where it comes in handy. Okay, so that's a company page. They're pretty scaled back. They're not as busy as what you would find on Facebook. And that's why a lot of people do like them. So let's talk about them more. So they are ranked positively by Google. So that's a good thing. So if people are Googling Soundwise, that's one of the options that's going to come up. So there's going to be a website, there might be a Facebook page, your LinkedIn page is going to be in there as well. The other piece, and as you start to build a team, if you have a team, employees can include the company page on their profile. So this is one of my team members. I went on their profile and I just kind of grabbed a screenshot. And because they've indicated that I work here, now the logo appears there. And honestly, this is why most people want the company page. They're like, I want my logo next to my business. And you need the company page. So that's why most people actually do it. So if you were to go visit any of my team members' pages, you can click on the JBC logo and it's going to go over to the company page. And then you can kind of peek around and see what's happening there. So when you're creating a LinkedIn company page, you can either do it through your profile, or you can simply Google it and say, create a LinkedIn company page. It's fairly simple to do. It's certainly not as complicated as you would find in Meta, because these are really only the options that you're given. So you've got company, a showcase page, what we're not going to talk about today. It's for really big groups, or educational institution. So Flame, you might choose the educational institution. See, the more I get to know about what you do, the more I pick on you during sessions. So I want to say this hasn't changed. Lisa, if you notice Lisa's name, she's known me for 20 years and I used to pick on her in economics. So back in the day. And then you complete your profile. So again, a very similar process to what you're going to find in Meta, but we're keeping to website, industry, organization size, whereas Meta sometimes asks more like personal details. So very basic. Now, here's where you may run into a little bit of trouble. So if you haven't created a company page yet, this little button down here, it says I verify that I'm an authorized representative to do blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it lets you go through and create the page. Great. Sometimes it asks for a custom URL. So it can't be jenniferbaker@gmail.com. It'll say, are you sure you're a legitimate, representative of this organization? So it's going to look for that custom URL that might say social media at jenniferbakerconsulting.com. So sometimes, not all the time, it will ask for that prompt there. So just a FYI, that might be in there. And then really, what can you do with a page? I like it for creating and sharing posts and similar actions. So photos, videos, events, polls. And the one difference here is PDFs. So you can upload PDFs and they actually show really nice. They are accessible. And that's something that we're not seeing on the other social media channels. So there's a question. So Amanda, does a business page have to be connected to signed into a personal page? Yes, it does. And on the back end, you can have multiple administrators. So very similar to what you would see with Meta, but it could be yourself, Amanda, your communications coordinator, and then whoever else. But yes, they are all administrators and you can provide them with all different access points. And I can show you that when we get there. The other really good feature that I like about LinkedIn right now is this opportunity to invite people to your page. And you can invite up to 250 people per month to your page. And these people are your connections. So if you've got 200 people, you can invite all of them to follow your page. If you've got 5,000 people, it's going to take multiple months to invite them to your page. And this is something that I've been doing with all the organizations that I work with. I send them the plate. I'm logging into your LinkedIn account and I go in and I invite 250 people per month. And there's been drastic growth on all of their LinkedIn company pages because of this. So it's 250 people per month per account. So once you exhaust one person, you may add on another team member. So Flame, maybe you add on your HR person and then you go through their contacts and then you add on the director and you go through theirs. So you can certainly start to leverage your network with this tool. And I simply have a reminder in my calendar to go and do this on a monthly basis. And super valuable. I don't know how long this feature is going to exist for, because I feel like this one is just too good to be true and it might disappear at any point. So I would get on this today. You can start doing it now. It's okay. If you want to start inviting people while we're talking, that's okay too. Relatively new on this one too is pages can follow other pages. So JBC can follow all your respective pages and engage with them as an organization. So I'm not going to follow you personally, but I'm going to follow your organization. And then I can comment, and I can share your content as my organization. So that's a newish feature, might be 8 months. I was in a meeting, actually, a little aside, and I had somebody that I was working with, the group said, "Oh, can't you follow other pages?" And I was like, "No, not yet." And then it was probably a week later, this feature got launched. So I wrote them back and I'm like, well, actually now we can. So we can just start moving forward with that. So I'll show you what that looks like. And if you do have a LinkedIn company page, you may notice this. This may have already popped up for you. But there is the opportunity for private page direct messages. So it's either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what side of the fence that you're on. Some people say, whoa, there's way too much, points of contact with my group. I just want people to email me or do a, fillable contact form. So you can choose to have this turned on or turned off. It's up to you, but letting you know that that feature is there. So if you do find you want something like this, it's great. But otherwise you can turn it on or off, and I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, before we get into contact information, we're going to talk about how to do, oops. There we go. Sorry about that. I just need my to-do list of things I have to show you. Okay. So for your company page, a few different bits. So your invite connections, for me right now, it's appearing in the top right-hand corner. So you can see here, it's showing my personal connections. And then I can choose to go in and invite any of them. So I can go through and kind of click off who I want to invite this month. She's a student of mine, so I can choose invite and then just say no thanks. So you can do it in bulk and go through. It takes about 5 minutes a month to do. So you can go through and invite all your connections. If for some reason it is not there and you say, okay, that lady is lying to me in the webinar, sometimes it appears under your analytics. And then it's like tucked in here. I've seen it. So if it's not appearing on that main page, it's under your analytics and tucked in between one of these frames in here. So that's like the two places I've ever seen that. So that's the first question. The second question, I think Amanda was asking about administrators. So under your settings, you can say manage admins. And this is where you can have multiple people in here. So right now, we're both super admins, but maybe Vish, I'm just going to make her an analyst or a content admin. So you can kind of change what they can do. So again, similar to what we're seeing in Meta, but you don't have to give them everything. You can give people just, they're going to do content or they're going to do an analyst. Okay, so Flame asked a great question. Is it weird to ask people if they're, out of a different industry or different country and province? It's up to you. They're your contacts. And this is kind of the similar vein where an employer might say, oh, share all of our content to your personal feeds. So if you think, Flame, hey, there's 15 people I think would be really good for this. They're in Kingston. I think there's value. Invite those 15 people and say, okay, I've invited the people who I think it's relevant for, and then kind of pass the baton over to your next colleague. So they're your contacts, use them with your discretion. For the rest of us, for me, I'll just invite everybody because it's my business. So I just invite everybody. So David, same question for you, because now you've flipped industries. So again, inviting people of value or who might find value in what you do today. And this comes down to using your discretion. If you think, Sally, I don't know. If you've got that feeling, just don't invite them and move on. Okay. So that's your contacts. Now let's talk about this following. So here is who I follow. So I've got Chamber of Commerce in here is kind of the first one. And then I've got City of Kingston. So I can view all of the content from businesses that I follow. And then I'm going to make this big just for a minute. You can see if I like or comment, it's going to be from JBC. So it's not going to be from me personally, but it's going to be from my business. Okay, so let's go back out of here for a second. So if I want to manage my following, so I want to add people, so sound-wise, because I forgot his business name. Oh, John, help me. Or is this any of you? I don't, is it? You're going to have to type it in the. I don't have a page. Oh, let's do. Okay, so this is another colleague who's on the call. So Leahurst College. Oh, so now I can go and see what this organization is up to. But now I also follow them. So anything that Flame posts, I'm going to see in this feed here, and then I can comment, like, and share. So this is a great idea if you've got partners, if you're a community group and have partners, organizations, board members, companies of board members, any of that in here. It's a great aggregator. Some people use it as kind of a news source. So John, you might follow everybody kind of in that audio podcasting world. And that just might be your own little news feed in there as well. So some people kind of can take either direction with something like that. Okay. Oh, and then the last little part was the inbox for private messages. Management. So it's under your inbox settings, and then I have it turned off. I just want people to email or contact form. So you can turn that off. So I would just take a peek in there because LinkedIn is now going to give you another inbox. So you're going to have personal and you're going to have business, and it gets a little bit fuzzy in there. Okay. All right. So before I move away from the company page, is there any questions about your personal profile or the company page before we get into some content? Oh, where do you find the settings for the inbox? Okay. So we're gonna, that's not where I want to go. That's a habit right there. Okay, so you're on your main company page. You're going to go to settings. And then you're going to go to inbox settings. Good. And then you just turn that on or off. Great. Any other questions before? So David gets a lot of inquiries from virtual assistants. Delete them. Delete them. And to be honest, LinkedIn has, actually, let me go under network. I'll show you what LinkedIn has done to try and combat this. I don't know this person, but I'm going to show you as an example. Okay. So number one, LinkedIn is starting to limit how many invitations are being sent because David, people like you are kind of tired of like the cold call spammy inbox. And look what it's doing now. If I want to personalize this, I think it's capped at 20. So I've sent 17 already. I have 3 messages left for the month. So this is another one of those, like if you do want premium, this is one of those other features that are going to be in there. You can send more of that personalized messages, which again is a bit better for business development or sales. Okay, so it's starting to limit that. So I don't think necessarily there's anything you can do, David, but LinkedIn is starting to kind of not clean up their act, but make things a little bit more tightened so that you're not getting that spam consistently. Okay. Any other questions on this before we? We're good. Okay. So when you are posting on LinkedIn, we're looking for that professional content. And myself and my team have noticed this, and we review a lot of LinkedIn profiles. It's sometimes cringy. But making sure, and this sounds so silly, it sounds like grade 9, English, but making sure that there's no spelling errors, you're not putting smiley faces, and there's good punctuation. So those little details are going to go a long way. And presenting your ideas in a concise format, because with this onslaught of AI and AI, generating text and content, that's great. But is anybody actually reading it? Is the bigger question. So can you get to your point in a concise and clear manner? So I'm all about simplicity, and keeping things as simple as possible and not with a lot of fluff. So getting into your brand visibility, if you have commented or liked a post, what was the topic of it? Like, what compelled you to like a post or to comment on a post? What was it, if anything? Or are you just scared of LinkedIn? If you're interacting, what you do, and if not, that's okay too. Relevance. Okay, so it's relevant to John's market. That's great. That's a big one. I'm all about quality over quantity. So make it good. And don't just post every day for the sake of posting. Any other reasons you would comment? Okay, so Lisa, I usually comment if it's a new perspective I haven't heard before or new information I don't know about. And that's great too. That's a good reason. Just give me another minute. And then David, I'll get to your question, David. So David's getting into short blog styles. So I just want to draw your attention. So if we are commenting, so John's commenting on relevant things and Lisa's commenting on things that maybe she's learning about, there's just one thing I want you to be aware of. So any tappable action, so you've written a response, you've liked a post, this is what LinkedIn does a lot of. So it's going to say, Mamta likes this. So it's going to say, John likes this, or Lisa commented on this. So be aware that any of your actions are going to basically be reshared with your network. And I say this because I'll never forget, there was a session I was in before the legalization of cannabis, and it was a group of lawyers. And apparently one of these lawyers was investing in this industry before it was legalized. And I brought this slide up and I said this, and he's like, oh my God, everyone's been seeing that I'm like engaging with all of this cannabis. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh. And he just like shrunk into like the background. The poor man was horrified. So just as you are engaging, this is what we see a lot of. So we've got Alex supports this, an ad. Tina commented on this. So as you are active, your network sees all of it. Okay. And you think, okay, they're not going to see all of it. So we've got super creepers here, me being one of them. If I want to see anything you've done, I can go to your profile, and I can see all of your activity. So people can see what you're up to and what you're commenting on and what you're posting on. Some of you look horrified. So you can see what I've reposted. I can see all the posts in here. So and that's fine, but just be aware that that's what happens. A little bit different than Meta, a little bit different. So figuring out this piece. So what actually resonates with your audience? Is it the real life stories? Maybe they're funny or educational. Maybe it's just educational posts. So, pulling on what Lisa said, that new information, new to her industry, that's what really draws her in. Is it trends or predicting trends? We see a lot of that. That tends to be can be virally. I don't like the word viral, but people predicting the future. Could be the commenting on current events. It could be simply employee news and what's happening. David's laughing. So it's figuring out that piece. And this is going to be trial and error. I can't say if you post real life stories, that's going to be like your golden ticket, because it's figuring out what works for you. Now, looking at the group that I have, John could talk about case studies and success stories that he's had working with his clients. Same thing with Lisa. We've got case studies. It could be real life stories with her career coaching. David might be the educational. He does reclaimed salvage architectural objects. And it could be more of that educational, like this is where this is from and kind of the history behind like these pieces that he's found. So there's going to be a little bit of a trial and error to this. So you might try all of these and say, okay, which one worked the best? And that's really what it's about. It's figuring out what makes your audience tick and what really gets them to click on your content. And another piece to it is look at what's in your newsfeed. What content has the most likes and comments? What did it do? Was there questions? Was it pictures? Was it PDFs? And start to evaluate. Because I don't like to say, okay, if everyone always posts a picture with an emoji, that's going to be a success, because it's going to be different based on the industry. So a content example for us, this one I found a bit long, but I was covering a lot of topics. So I just had I had 12 years in business, and I kind of covered with little emojis as bullet points here. I tagged people, I tagged pages. You can include hashtags. I didn't include them here. I used emojis as a way to separate topics, short paragraphs, meaning it was 1 to 2 sentences. And I wrote like a human, which is a really big thing. Because again, with that AI introduction, and on the next slide, it will show you, you can really tell that it's not written by a person. So this is something, so I don't know what my prompt was that I put in here, but it was like strategies for scaling your business. And if you kind of even gloss over this, you're like, I've read this before. And it's because it's an AI generated LinkedIn post. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Here are some key strategies for unlocking growth and scaling your business. It's generic. What's your take on this? So some key triggers to this is emoji use. It's generic. Oftentimes it includes a lot of adjectives and adverbs. And they do often use a lot of irrelevant hashtags. So in this case, we've got business growth, entrepreneurship, and strategic expansion. So it's not what you need it to be. What I like to use AI for is to get my brain thinking and going, okay, that's an interesting way. I'm going to expand on this a little bit further. It's certainly not the first and last stop for content, but it's a place to get started, is what I like it for. Okay. So David, your question about, do you recommend using a short blog style? So if you use this, I guess you could say this is a short blog style-ish, but it comes back to what you want people to do with the content when you see it. Do you want them to read it and like it? Do you want them to read it and then click on it to go to your website to buy something? Every piece of content is going to have a purpose. What is that purpose? What do you want them to do? And this goes for everyone. Do you want them to watch the video on YouTube? Do you want them to read a blog? Do you want them to book an appointment? What do you want them to do? Sign up for the newsletter. So that's what you're going to tell them to do. So whether it's a couple sentences explaining the perks of signing up for a newsletter, that's what you're going to do. All right. So the last little piece that we're going to talk about in the last 10 minutes, we're all here still, last 10 minutes, is the LinkedIn Ads Manager. So has anyone tried LinkedIn ads? Has anyone peaked? Lisa's tried, Flame has tried, and I'm not saying this tried as it didn't go well, but you've been here before. It's not brand new. Okay, so a couple of you. I love it. It's kind of cool. It's pretty cool. So LinkedIn ads, first and foremost, are more expensive than what you would find on Meta, full stop. That includes Facebook, Instagram. But it's a completely different audience with different characteristics. So on Meta, We can target people based on age, gender, location, and then some interests, although that keeps declining every month. So some interests. So they're interested in cooking, they're interested in baseball, they're interested in cats, general interests about those people. LinkedIn is different because we can target people based on their career. So are they a CFO? Are they in sales? Are they in marketing? So the targeting is completely different than what we're seeing on X, on Meta, on Pinterest, because now we're focused on the individual's career. And before you do any advertising, so this is a transferable skill, regardless of what social platform you're using, but what do you want your ad to achieve? What do you want it to do for you? And a lot of people say like, oh, I just need to do an ad. And I'm like, well, for what? Like, what are you doing? So is it brand awareness? Is it website traffic? Is it getting people to like a post? Do you want people to watch a video? Do you want job applicants? What do you want, your $200 that you're investing in to do for you? What is your ideal scenario? So this targeting that I mentioned, these are the different ways that you can target people. And this is what makes it so much different than what we see on Meta. So job experience, it could be job functions, their seniority, their skills, their years of experience, their education, which is amazing. So it could be degrees, fields of study, member schools. You can target based on companies, their industry, growth rates, categories. So those are elements and pieces that we don't see. They're just not available on Meta. So Lisa, this is, I know what you do. You do career coaching. You probably already know in your head, okay, I know most of my people come from this place, whether it's years of experience, industry, you name it, you can find them here rather than trying to navigate Meta. Okay. Is there anything here that you're like, wow, I didn't know we could target like this? Anyone? It's pretty cool. So I was doing ads for commercial real estate, and we were targeting people based on industry that was available for a specific piece of property. So it's like, well, if you want to find these people, then we're just going to target people based on their status in the company, coupled with the industry that is suitable for this kind of available property. So it's, not something that you're necessarily going to see on Meta. So the common ad types, and there's a few other ones depending on what you want to achieve. You do not need a paid advertise. You do not need a paid account to do advertising. No. They get your money when you pay for the ad. So your common ad type. So oftentimes you'll see in your own personal newsfeed a single image. Sometimes there's document advertisements. Sometimes there's carousel or event-based. So those are kind of the common ad types. So one like this that popped up the other day for me, Palette Skills, I don't know what they do, but it's that single look with apply now. You click anywhere on this graphic or down below, and that's going to bring me over to kind of their application intake form. This one was a single video. So it's CBC, it's promoted. I love the CBC. I listen to so much CBC. This is why I get this. I can tap here to learn more. I can tap here to watch the video, or I can simply engage with it. So if I wanted to like, comment, share, but they were simply showing this new, I believe it was the Fifth Estate, which I later watched at another point. But that's another form. So if you've got that video content that you want shared. And then how much does all of this cost? So David was kind of alluding to that. How big is your audience? And that's how I start any sort of advertising. Are you advertising to all of Canada, or are you advertising to Kingston? There's a big difference there with budget, what you want to do. So I left it broad when I grabbed this kind of screenshot of forecasted results. For all of Canada, all of our LinkedIn members, there's 24 million. There's 24 million people in Canada on LinkedIn. And that was the only criteria. It's there in Canada. So it's saying to reach 350,000 to 1.5 million, you're looking at 2,000 to $7,000. Okay. So that's very broad. So I brought it down a little bit more in my next capture here. But I just put Kingston, I didn't get into industries here. And that's around 93,000. And this was the expected. So 1,700 to 7,000, which I still think is a bit high, but that's okay. And it's going to reach 20,000 to 35,000 people over 30 days. So, and you can do it at any point. So you don't have to spend $7,000 for sure, but it's giving you an idea of, how much they're predicting you're going to spend. And you certainly don't have to spend that much money, but that's kind of the initial what it's going to do. So I do want to show an example, just how it's going to look. So I'll just call this example. And I'm going to do website visits. So I want people to go to my website. So the first thing you want to remember is always put an end date. Again, standard across any paid advertising you do. And I'll just say $100. And I'm going to make it one day, just for example, because I do want to show you the audience builder. So on the right-hand side here is kind of that forecasted how big our audience is. And in the middle is where we're going to tell LinkedIn where we want to have our ads shown. So the different elements that you can pick out are in these two tabs here. So you can do list uploads if you have permission. You can do lookalike audiences, retargeting. So words that you may have seen before in Meta or even Google Ads. So you're getting the same features here. But what we talked about in this session is the audience attributes. So the company, the demographic, education. So I'm going to do an that's really nice. I put an economics degree and it didn't even show up. That's sad. Field of study. So field of study, economics. Let's just do this for fun. Okay. So we've got an economics degree. I want to narrow it further. So maybe they have job experience. They are a CXO and a VP and a director. So if you're watching on the right-hand side, you can see how big the audience is. So it's 51,000. So people who have economics degree with those job experiences. Okay. You can do if-then scenarios. So it can be a degree or. So we're all of the same age. We remember finite math, like in OAC. Are we OAC people in grade 13? Finite math, the if, then, or and, or. This is where this is coming into play after the fact. So you can say they have this and, or. So it's and or scenario. So always watch that you're being specific. So I like the and because it really narrows it down. So you can continue to add people to this, whether it's company, it could be demographics. So maybe Lisa knows her people are, 35 to 54 generally. So now we're down to 29,000 people. Okay. So we can add a whole bunch of different characteristics into here, but the key thing is here is watching this. What are we doing here? So, and are we doing and or? And you can edit that at any point. Although, oh, it popped down here. And let's put in Toronto here. GTA. So you can have recent or permanent, or you can have permanent. So sometimes travelers, you can take them out. Okay, so now we've got 11,000 people. Got 11,000 people who had a field of study of economics, and they are a CXO director or VP, and they are 35 to 54. So that's 11,000 people. And to be honest, the way you do the math here, and people say, do I have to spend $2,000? Well, your audience is 11,000 and you're going to get 100,000 impressions. So that means your audience is going to see your ad 10 times. So you can actually decrease how much you're going to spend, right? Because you do a little bit of math and you say, well, I don't need 100,000 impressions. I really need, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, not that much. So you could probably bring your budget down a little bit. Okay. And then from here is where you create your ad. But kind of the main thing here is that targeting element. Okay, so I see a question from Lisa. So it depends. So the cost depends on who you're trying to target and what you need, or sorry, what people you want to target to. So if you wanted to target people who had an interest in coffee and cats, I'd probably tell you to go to Meta and, sell your coffee cat program over there. If you're looking for specific people in industries, finance, because there's high burnout rates, this is probably the place that you're going to want to be. So it all depends on your target audience and what you want to do. Okay. And then that's just a comparison of the two side by each. So when I'm looking at any of these forecasted results, I look at the size. So 24 million versus 93,000. And then I look at the reach. So how many people are going to see this? And what do I really want? What do I want those results to be? Okay, so that brings us to the end. So that was 50-ish minutes of nonstop fun with LinkedIn. So we did talk about our company page, our content, our profile, and then some LinkedIn ads manager. So we do have some time for some questions. I thank you for coming to today's session. I was telling my my colleague Vish, I said, I always get nervous before webinars, even though I've done this so much. So thank you for sticking along for today. If you've got any questions, I'll stick around and answer any questions that you have. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Lisa. Oh, frequency of posting, John. So part of it is quality over quantity. And you might find, and for me personally, I'm like once a month kind of thing, because that's when I really get kind of the inspiration. And when I do, it's good results. There's other people I see post every day and it's kind of like meh content, because I heard somewhere you have to post every day. So it doesn't get them the results, but they feel better about it. So I would try, do a post and see how it goes. And then if you're motivated to write again, write again. It could be a couple times a week. For most of my companies, it's 2 to 3 times a week that we're doing it. For myself personally, with my organization hat on, it's once a month. But that seems to work for me. But quality over quantity. If you're bored by your content, I will be too. Thanks, David. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks, Flame. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any questions, so I will sign off for today and I will send you a copy of the recording by tomorrow. Okay, so thank you everyone, and I hope to see you next time.